About a year ago, I did a video covering a forgotten Radkin Bass Easter special that was made as a quasi-sequel to their classic Christmas special, Santa Claus is Coming to Town, aptly named The Easter Bunny is Coming to Town, and I'll leave a link to that video in the description in case you'd like to check it out. Now, the conclusion I came to in that video was that it just couldn't recapture the magic of the earlier Christmas special, even with Fred Astaire reprising his role as the mailman, but towards the end, I did praise another Easter-themed special of theirs, that being the 1971 special, Here Comes Peter Cottontail. Because for everything the Easter Bunny is Coming to Town gets wrong, that special gets right, and is exactly the kind of Easter special one would hope for and expect from the likes of Rankin Bass. And today, I'd like to go over Here Comes Peter Cottontail and why it may just be one of the best specials to focus on the Easter Bunny. And there will be spoilers ahead, so in case you've never seen it and would like to, you probably shouldn't proceed any further. You have been warned. Okay, so just for those of you who don't know, Here Comes Peter Cottontail tells the story of the time the Easter Bunny, here known by his full name Wellington B. Bunny, decided to retire since he was getting old and hand over his position to somebody else. But while everybody wants and expects the title to go to his beloved prodigy, Peter Cottontail, the dastardly January Q Irontail challenges the young bunny to a contest where whoever gives out the most Easter eggs becomes the new Easter Bunny, which he accepts, because while Peter Cottontail is convinced he's got it made, Irontail is determined to win at any cost, as he absolutely hates children since one of them ran over his tail and he had to replace it with an uncomfortable iron one, and wants to make all the kids of the world suffer for it by becoming the new Easter Bunny and ruining the holiday. So in order to ensure his victory, he sabotages Peter Cottontail's alarm clock, which combined with him spending all night celebrating, causes Irontail to win by default simply by giving out one egg when his rival sleeps right through Easter Sunday. But determined to correct his mistake and save Easter from Irontail's sabotage, Peter Cottontail runs into Seymour S. Sassafras, who's also the special's narrator and one of the craziest from Rankin Bass, who tells him of a loophole that can allow him to still win the contest. Specifically, he can use Seymour's time machine to go back to Easter Sunday and give out as many eggs as he wants. However, Irontail still isn't done yet, as he quickly catches wind of this plan and rigs the time machine so that it can go to any holiday but Easter. But as it turns out, the rules only dictate that whoever gives out the most eggs by the next Easter becomes the new Easter Bunny, meaning that if Peter Cottontail can persuade at least 2 people to accept eggs from him on any holiday before next Easter, he still has a chance to win. But it won't be easy for him, both because people are reluctant to take decorated eggs on any holiday besides Easter, and because Irontail still remains determined to stop him by any means necessary. And just by that summary alone, it's easy to see why this often ranks as one of the best specials Rankin Bass ever made, as well as hands down their greatest Easter special. Because unlike The Easter Bunny is Coming to Town, which while having its good points suffers from a lack of creativity and is pigeonholed by tying itself so directly to a previous special, Here Comes Peter Cottontail is not only able to introduce a very interesting plot for an Easter special, but does a really good job of making the stakes feel real. Because simply put, January Q Irontail is a villain with not only a vendetta against all children, but one with a stated reason for it. And though it isn't dwelled on much, his attempts to destroy Easter would indeed be enough to make any child dread the holiday rather than look forward to it. But on the flip side, the special also doesn't shy away from the fact that Peter Cottontail needs to learn that with such a position comes responsibility, and that both celebrating too early and lying will only cause more problems than they solve, which is something he comes to see as he desperately tries to save Easter by belatedly becoming the Easter Bunny. But in addition to the characters, the plot itself is also a bit more complex than your average Rankin Bass special, between the rules for the contest having several loopholes that both the hero and villain take advantage of, as well as all the time travel involved. Though So this being Rankin Bass, it doesn't sweat the details when it comes to exactly how the time travel affects things too much, and not everything lines up perfectly. But just like the imperfect stop motion, that really only adds to the charm rather than takes away from it. But speaking of that, despite being on the more complicated side, it's still ultimately all about the fun that most would expect from Rankin Bass, with there being plenty of catchy songs, colorful characters, and funny gags, especially in how Peter Cottontail's ear droops every time he tells a lie, and how it always ends up backfiring on him. But in the fun department, special mention just has to go to January Q Irontail. Seriously, unlike most Rankin Bass villains like Burgermeister Meisterburger or the Bumble, who have funny moments but are still portrayed very seriously as a threat, Irontail is nothing but an over-the-top ham, constantly chewing the scenery with every deliciously evil deed he does. Sure, he still manages to be a major threat to Peter Cottontail and is a constant thorn in his side, but the point is that every moment he's on screen is a ton of fun for the viewer, especially because he's voiced by Vincent Price on top of that. That's right, Vincent Price is the over-the-top villain in a Rankin Bass holiday special. Is it really any wonder why he's such a blast to watch? He's honestly the perfect villain for the likes of the Easter Bunny, both past and future, to go up against. Rankin Bass absolutely nailed him here, and Vincent Price's completely shameless over-the-top performance is just the cherry on top. But speaking of that, the rest of the voice cast also does a particularly good job as well, particularly Danny Kaye, as unlike most narrators in Rankin Bass specials, he actually voices two other characters in addition to the narrator Seymour S. Sassafras. And what's notably impressive is that not only do all three characters have completely different voices, but different personalities as well, and Kaye manages to pull them all off flawlessly. Seriously, whether he's voicing the nice if eccentric and slightly insane Sassafras, the kind and wise if tired Wellington B. Bunny, or the helpful if very French mechanic Anton, Kaye nails it with flying colors. Seriously, you know a voice actor's doing something right when they manage to voice three different characters in the same special and be virtually unrecognizable between them at the same time. But if there was ever somebody that Rankin Bass should have done that with, Kaye was it, as he was quite famous for his ability to throw his voice, and that's used to its fullest advantage here. But there's also Peter Cottontail himself, who was voiced to perfection by Casey Kasem, also known as the original voice of Shaggy Rogers from Scooby-Doo. That's right, a young and excitable Easter Bunny voiced by Shaggy of all people. How could the results not be great? And the simple answer is, they are. Seriously, they really nailed the cast here. But even that aside, the funny thing about this special is that despite most definitely being about Easter, the holiday doesn't actually get as much focus as one might expect, because the bulk of the special actually centers around Peter Cottontail visiting different holidays in a desperate attempt to bring a little bit of Easter to them so he can become the new Easter Bunny. And the resulting combination of such things as Easter, Halloween, Christmas, Independence Day, and various other holidays is certainly weird, which is even a plot point within the special. Because let's face it, who wants an Easter egg on Thanksgiving, for example? But rather than take away from it, that only adds to the special's charm, as it makes it stand out from other Easter specials by having a very different tone, but still managing to feel like Easter all the same. In fact, some have even compared its odd mixture of different holidays to the feeling that The Nightmare Before Christmas evokes, similar to Rankin Bass's Halloween effort as well, as I got further into in another video, which you can also find a link in the description too. But considering the Easter Bunny does make an appearance in that movie as well, and Peter Cottontail does visit Halloween, is it really that surprising? But the point here is, through a combination of an interesting story, a very unique tone for an Easter special, great characters, catchy songs, an excellent voice cast, and that typical Rankin Bass charm and stop motion, Here Comes Peter Cottontail manages to rank in a class with very few others when it comes to specials centered around the Easter Bunny. Because not only does it manage to flawlessly capture that simple, fun springtime feeling that the character often evokes, but it does something very different with him by having him be forced to try to give out eggs on different holidays instead of just depicting the trials and tribulations of giving out eggs on a typical Easter Sunday, and have him try to beat an evil Easter bunny while doing it. Seriously, unoriginal is one thing this special is most definitely not. And that very originality, combined with everything I just mentioned, might just be the best thing about it. In the end, this special may just be one of the most unconventional surrounding the Easter Bunny, but that's what makes it so memorable, as well as easily the best by Rankin Bass centered around the character. It's everything you could ever want and expect from them, and in this case, that is most definitely a good thing. Okay, I think I've made my point here. So now I'd like you to tell me, do you believe that Here Comes Peter Cottontail is one of the best Easter specials ever made, especially from the likes of Rankin Bass? Or do you think it's really nothing all that special and that I'm giving it too much credit? Please feel free to let me know in the comments below. Because as always, you do not have to agree with any opinions expressed in this video that you don't want to. You are entitled to your opinion, and if you happen to think I had it all wrong, that is completely fine. And thank you all for watching. I really appreciate all of it. And I hope to see you all next time.